Commissioner, I serve on the subcommittee employee relations, and we saw those contracts come through, and I have done some comparisons against the budget items that you and many agencies had last year, and it appears very clearly that you negotiated contracts which were richer or required actually more taxpayer dollars than you had budgeted for throughout the budget process in, as far as I can tell, every one of the budget areas that were passed as part of the budget last year. So what you're saying to us is you budgeted for a certain amount, you went and negotiated a higher amount, and now you are going to come back and ask the legislature to take even more taxpayer money to pay for these higher negotiated, higher agreed upon amounts that in a cursory way would suggest maybe there wasn't a lot of real strong negotiation happening, especially in light of the fact that there was a hardline budget number that you had used. So is that what, are we going to see more bills come forward and once again labeled as what were they called, emergency or deficiency? I labeled them mismanagement bills last year, and Commissioner, if that's what we're going to see again, I think the label would be proper again. But I'm curious if you're going to bring more quote deficiency bill proposals forward to this body.
So Commissioner, if we don't fund this, are we going to see a deficiency request from the administration next year?
Mr. Chair, and certainly in the corrections area, you probably would. One of the issues that we face in negotiating contracts, and I'll take issue with your characterization of the negotiations, Representative, and that is that we have to make the budget for the biennium before we negotiate the contracts in June. So last year in 2015, the biennial budget was passed during the session, and then finally in the special session, but the contract negotiations begin really in June. We get prepared before that point, but the actual final negotiations are concluded in June for AFSCME and MAPE, and then the other unions follow up on that. So it's extremely difficult to, in fact impossible, to anticipate what that final contract amount may be. This is the way it's been for a number of years. I'm not saying it's the best way to do it, but on the other hand, it doesn't make sense from our point of view to try to put some other number in there that we think might be the final result. We enter those negotiations with the idea of trying to bargain in a very effective way and try to reach a contract negotiation that's fair to the union, to the employees, and that's fair to the state. In this particular instance, we had budgeted about 1.8% increase in costs for employee costs, and the contracts were negotiated, as you know, at 2.5%. And as I mentioned earlier, many of the agencies, and our agency, for example, many agencies are able to withstand that change and variance and balance their budget accordingly. But some agencies, like corrections, don't have the ability to just hold open positions when someone leaves to try to make up for the salary difference. They actually have to have people there 24/7. So this particular request is a recognition that in this area, the 24/7 area of corrections, we need people there 24/7, and we need to make some adjustments to those compensation packages, or we may in fact see a deficiency next year.
Representative Cornish. Or, sorry, Representative Drazkowski, did you have a question or a follow-up?
Thank you,
Yeah,
Mr.
okay.
Chair. Just thank you, Commissioner. You and I do disagree on this, and as a matter of fact, there were very large increases negotiated by your agency with each of these contract groups, even larger ones the year before. And so given the ability to look at history, if you were going to properly budget during the last session for the biennium, you would be most informed by history by having used a significantly larger number, if indeed that was what you were looking to do. So, Commissioner, we don't agree on this. Thank you.